start all over. I said,
my music is the root of the reggae music, because I have been on a research. Music is psychology, see? And if the music does not penetrate the heart, the soul, and the mind, and the body, then you ain't gonna feel it. Because reggae music is not something that you hear, it's something you feel. See? And if you don't feel it, you can't know it.
Greetings and welcome to Rebel Music. Today we are going to talk about Peter Tosh, the Militant Non-Combatant. Peter Tosh, born Winston Hubert McIntosh in 1944, was one of reggae's most iconic and revolutionary voices. As a founding member of the Wailers, alongside Bob Marley and Bunny Wailer, Tosh's musical genius was matched by his unyielding stance on social justice. His militant approach to life struggles came through his words and ideas, but never through violence. This unique balance made him a militant non-combatant, a fighter for freedom who used music and peaceful defiance rather than physical confrontation to promote change. Growing up in rural Jamaica, Tosh was exposed to the hardships of poverty and inequality from a young age. His journey to Kingston in his teenage years was transformative. There, he immersed himself in the local music scene and embraced Rastafari. The Rastafarian faith gave him a framework for understanding the systemic oppression around him, providing a spiritual base for his lifelong battle against injustice. Tosh's devotion to Rastafari informed his resistance to Babylon, a term representing corrupt systems of government and colonial rule. This spirituality made him a militant in words and actions, but not in physical aggression. His militant stance was always rooted in non-violence, where fighting injustice meant standing strong in one's beliefs without resorting to bloodshed. Peter Tosh's music became his weapon of choice in the battle for justice. His songs were a direct and unflinching confrontation of oppressive systems, calling for equality, freedom, and respect. Perhaps one of his most iconic tracks, Get Up, Stand Up, co-written with Bob Marley, encapsulated this spirit of peaceful rebellion. The song urged people to fight for their rights, but through a refusal to accept injustice, not through violent means. After leaving the Wailers, Tosh's solo career cemented his role as a revolutionary. His 1977 album Equal Rights remains a landmark of militant reggae, calling for equality in the face of oppression. The title track emphasizes a need for justice before peace, stating, "Everyone is crying out for peace, none is crying out for justice." But even in his most militant songs, the call was always for systemic change, not for physical retaliation. Another standout track, Legalize It, reflected Tosh's commitment to decriminalizing marijuana, which was intertwined with the persecution of Rastafarians by the Jamaican police. Tosh saw the criminalization of marijuana as another facet of Babylon's oppression. The song was both a personal and political statement, railing against a system that disproportionately targeted the poor and the spiritual. Tosh's militancy often led to direct confrontations with Jamaican authorities, particularly the police, who saw him as a troublemaker due to his outspoken views and advocacy for marijuana legalization. One of the most harrowing incidents in Tosh's life occurred in 1978, when he was brutally beaten by Jamaican police officers. During this violent encounter, the police arrested Tosh after one of his many protests. Recognizing the brutality with which the authorities were treating him, Tosh made a decision that would likely save his life. He played dead. After a severe beating, Tosh laid completely still, pretending to have succumbed to his injuries. His body limp and unresponsive, he managed to convince the police that they had finished him off. Believing they had already killed him, the officers left him alone, sparing him further brutality or even death. Tosh's quick thinking in that moment underscored his non-combatant approach to Though militant in his principles, he knew that fighting back physically would be futile in the face of overwhelming force. Despite the beating, Peter Tosh refused to be silenced. His militancy did not waver, even as his body bore the marks of the oppression he fought against. He emerged from this experience more committed than ever to using his music as a tool for revolution, but always within the bounds of peaceful resistance. Tosh's militancy was not just about challenging oppressive systems, but also standing as a fearless voice for the voiceless. His fearless advocacy made him a target, but he never backed down from speaking his truth. Whether it was criticizing the political elite or challenging colonial systems of control, Peter Tosh embodied the spirit of defiance. One defining moment of his career occurred at the One Love Peace concert in 1978. While Bob Marley famously brought two political rivals, Michael Manley and Edward Seager, on stage to symbolize peace, Tosh took a different approach. Rather than focusing on reconciliation, Tosh used the opportunity to harshly criticize both political leaders as well as the Jamaican government and police, accusing them of perpetuating inequality and injustice. On this moment, Tosh's militant spirit was on full display, choosing truth over diplomacy. He rejected the notion of peace without justice, demonstrating that his fight was always for the people, not the politicians. Peter Tosh's clashes with Babylon extended beyond his music. He was arrested multiple times, often for his open marijuana use or his vocal activism. In each case, the authorities viewed him as a threat because of his unrelenting critique of their hypocrisy. Despite these confrontations, Tosh never abandoned his belief in peaceful resistance. Even after suffering near-death beatings like the one in 1978, he continued to stand tall, using music, not violence, to fight back. Tosh's Rastafarian faith and militant ideology went hand in hand. He believed in Jah's will and that Babylon's reign would eventually fall. His militancy was rooted in this deep spiritual belief, conviction that ultimate justice could only come from awakening the masses through consciousness, not combat. Tragically, Peter Tosh's life was cut short in 1987 when he was murdered during a robbery at his home. The gunmen included Chief Thug Dennis Lepo Loban, a man whom Tosh had previously befriended and tried to help find work after Loban's release from a lengthy jail sentence. Tosh said he did not have any money in the house, after which Loban and the fellow gunman began opening fire in a reckless manner. While his death was not directly linked to his activism, it felt symbolic of the risks he took as a fearless voice against Babylon's oppression. His death marked the end of an era, but his legacy as a militant non-combatant lives on through his music and his message. Peter Tosh was a unique figure in reggae and the broader struggle for justice. While his words and actions were militant, they were always aimed at achieving peace through justice, not through violence. His decision to play dead in 1978 exemplified his ability to fight back using his wits, resilience, and unwavering belief in non-violent resistance. Peter Tosh remains a symbol of the militant non-combatant, someone who fought fiercely for justice and equality, but who rejected physical violence as a means to achieve those ends. His music was his weapon, his voice a rallying cry for the oppressed. Even in the face of brutal repression, he chose to survive, to resist, and to inspire. Through his life, Tosh demonstrated that one can be militant without being violent, a warrior in the fight for a better world who wielded words, ideas, and music as his tools of rebellion. This is Peter Tosh, the militant non-combatant, a revolutionary spirit who lives on in the hearts of those who continue to fight for equal rights and justice. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Jah guide and bless us all.